Hi, this is Matthew Tringali with Smart Shield Property Management, and today we're on site in a beautiful short-term rental property managed by local property management company Air Hospitality. I'm joined here by Jake at Air Hospitality. Hi, Jake.
Hey.
All right, good. So I'm excited to be here with you because we get a lot of calls from landlords, and some of them have the question of, should I consider renting my place furnished or unfurnished?
Right.
Should I consider renting it as a short-term versus a long-term rental? So you and I have been chatting about that, and I've been learning some good things from you here. So yeah, why don't you start me off by telling me what are some things right out of the gate that you know, yeah, that would make a fantastic short-term rental property?
Yeah, so I mean, like we talked about, there's a lot of different things that can make a cool Airbnb. One being if you got a really unique property. One thing with Airbnb is, you know, they offer yurts, RVs, but even on the property side, if you got a cool niche looking property, it's gonna have great marketability. On a regular, typical investment side, if you have numerous bedrooms and you're in a good location, those are great indicators of a good Airbnb.
So when you talk about a niche property, clearly we get the idea of a yurt and an RV. You also mentioned some ideas of, you know, what does it look like inside of a property to really set itself apart and be something unique from your every average property?
I think some cool features within the home. Bathrooms are always really important. Like a nice, well done bathroom is really great for people. The kitchen space, those are kind of two big things that we always harp on, is having a cool, well-stocked kitchen, nice bathrooms, because what do you look at when you go to a home? Like, what are the two places you're hanging out the most is the kitchen, right? You're gonna be hosting, hanging out with people, and everybody loves a nice bathroom. So those are some cool, unique features. The number one sought-out thing on Airbnb or any vacation rental is a pool. Pools are great options for short-term rentals. On typical, you know, any other kind of portfolio, say you're in a long-term business, right? You have long-term tenants. If your property is like we spoke about, if you have some market conditions that are keeping your rent, you think you could perform a little bit better, or you want to see some growth there, that could be a good candidate as well.
Yeah, I have a large family. There's 6 of us, and so I know one of the things I really look for is great common area space and great dining space. You know, it's amazing how many times I could go through an Airbnb property and rule it out because it just doesn't have enough dining room seating.
Yep. So like in this property, 3 bedrooms, probably sleeps 3, 6, 8 or 9 people. So you want to have seating for all of them. You want to have probably a couple couches, a good dining space, because that's the whole point of an Airbnb, is coming together. You can cook together. You can have your whole family together, and that's what makes kind of the beauty of it.
Right. Okay, good. So what are some of the things that just from the get-go automatically disqualify a property from being a short-term rental?
Yeah, so the 2 things you want to look at or look for are the marketability of a property and then its relative location. So on the marketability side, you want to have some sort of niche or whatever its caveat is of the property.
Yeah, you mentioned like maybe themes throughout. When you're
so themes are incredible. So
yeah, this property I noticed as soon as I walked in has a New York theme.
Yes.
And it really catches your eye. In every room I walk into, I see certain art or certain features, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's New York.
Yeah, and that's what's cool, is it has flavor of the owner. So the owner lives in New York now, so they have a lot of New York artwork, and like you see behind us, and that plays to it. So we even advertise kind of the owner in a sense, right? Because it's a reflection of them. And as do-it-yourselfers, right? If you want to do it yourself, you can put a little bit of you into the property, and that's what Airbnb community was built on, was you know, that sharing economy. So I'm welcoming you into my space, you kind of see how I live, get to be a local and feel everything, you know, how I do. So that's kind of a great point. The other thing is being close to something, right? So some sort of attraction. So here at this property, we're close to the hip neighborhood Noda, right, which is the art district. And then you have Plaza Midwood, which has great bars and restaurants, and that's something that people really are attracted to, because we're 10 minutes to Noda and, you know, maybe even 5 minutes to Plaza Midwood. So having some sort of attractability location-wise is a great selling point.
Yeah, we were talking before about how, like, one good way that was helpful for me to think about it is, think about it when people are traveling here, they're traveling here to see something. So there's some really key attraction things here in the greater Charlotte area. Really, tons of stuff uptown. So obviously, it'd be close to uptown. You know, we have Carowinds down in the South Charlotte area, Concord Mill. I mean, the Motor Speedway up in that area. But to your point, you know, even if so it's great, of course, if you could be walkable to those things or 5 minutes to those things. But even if you're not, you were saying, you know, even if you're 15 minutes away from those things, if you at least have some attraction points, like you said, in the evenings, when you get back to your Airbnb, that you can go out to some great, maybe a little walkable area of some art spots or bars and restaurants, movie theaters, things like that.
Yeah, and another thing, like if it's not walkable, one thing that we always mention is, put a $sign to the Uber, right? Say it's like, one thing people love is, it's just like a $5 Uber, uptown or to this great restaurant nearby.
Right.
And people don't mind traveling and working that way, right? They're staying in the shared economy space on their Airbnb. They open their app and they're on the shared space in an Uber. So that's just kind of how we work nowadays, and people enjoy that. They don't mind. You give up maybe the lobby of a hotel, but you get a kitchen, you get 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, you get to all be together. So some give and take there, which is really attractive for our guests.
Right. So one of the things that we haven't touched on yet is an automatic disqualifier, of course, is home associations or condo associations.
Yep.
Most of those have it written right into their bylaws that they usually describe it by saying you have to rent for at least X number of months or whatever the case may be. Now that's not to say there aren't some people doing that.
Yeah.
But of course, for companies like ours, we need to do things the right way, and so that would be an automatic disqualifier in terms of doing that the right way.
Yeah, 100%.
Or dealing with the consequences, whatever they may be.
Yeah. So you don't want to get down the line. You have 6 months of bookings, and then your HOA tells you got to shut it down.
Right.
Because then you're having to either displace those guests, cancel on those guests, and if you want to keep doing Airbnb, you cancel on a guest that shows negatively as you as a host. So you don't want any of that. So always check your CCRs, your HOA docs. Then also your local legislation is important because some cities aren't friendly to it or are more friendly to it, have regulation, less regulation. So that's another thing you'd want to check in on.
Yeah. Okay, good. So you mentioned marketability and location to attractions, and then you were kind of telling me before, if you have at least one of those things, you'll probably be okay. You can probably still do the short-term rental. You just kind of have to know who you are. So if you're pushing, so obviously you'll know if you're close to an attraction, but the farther you are away from attractions, then the more you really have to put attention to detail inside of the house. To make it really pop in your showings, and go out of your way, like you said, to describe the Uber rides or whatever the case may be, to really market your property, and then that can still work, but you got to kind of be one or the other.
Yeah, so if you have, say you're in maybe a lesser neighborhood, talking about, A, B, C, D neighborhoods, or maybe you're not in a walkable neighborhood.
Right.
If somebody walks in and you have a gorgeous home, or you have really looked at the little details, so you got maybe a gift basket for them and a welcome, page for them, so they kind of get really integrated to the home really quickly.
Right.
That's something that can kind of ease guests, and they'll feel really at home and comfortable, even though they're maybe 5 minutes farther than the hotel they were looking at.
Right.
So that's where you want to compete against is the local hotels, and making sure you're adding that little extra that people are expecting these days.
Right. So we also talked about some of the hurdles for homeowners that maybe short-term wouldn't be right fit for them. And so, if you are already in a suburban neighborhood, kind of in that category, you're 15 minutes away, so you'd have to put in that extra touch. And then we talked about, some of the things to consider at the outset are the upfront capital that you would have with a short-term versus a long-term. So tell me a little bit about that piece and what that looks like.
Yeah, so like we know, if you're a long-term renter or you're working with a property management company like yourself, you don't have to buy any of that furniture. There's no real cost associated with it, but with a short-term rental and making an Airbnb, you're probably going to see anywhere from $7,000 up to maybe $15,000, and could be greater depending on how nice the furniture you want to go. Say you have a really luxury unit, you may have to spend a little bit more on furniture so it matches the clientele base. But yeah, you're probably going to look at about 30 days to get it onboarded. So buy the furniture, assemble the furniture, put everything into the right places, and about anywhere from $7,000 to $15,000 to get a 2 to 4 bedroom home.
And that covers everything.
That covers everything.
Dishes.
Yep.
Okay.
And you can do it be penny pinching.
Right.
And you can save some here and there. Like used furniture, can be a great option as long as it's got to be aesthetically pleasing, because your number one opportunity with guests is your photos, right?
Right.
Photos are number one. I think if you get professional photos, you have 40%, I think according to Airbnb, you can get 40% more bookings with just professional photos compared to if you're snapping it with your iPhone or something like that. So professional photos are great because that's the first thing people are going to see. Like, you've probably been on this site, pull up an app, or I pull up the app and you go, okay, yeah, all right, I like that
sure,
one.
absolutely. Matter of fact, it's funny. I was listening to there's a podcast I like,
Mm-hmm.
and the owner of Airbnb was on this podcast.
Yeah.
And he was describing in the early days they weren't getting the traction they wanted on Airbnb, and so he flew to New York City where they had some people using the Airbnb site.
Yep.
And he went around and did professional photos, and everybody.
Yeah, they hired them.
Yeah.
Yep, they hired the professional photos, and that was like what took them soaring was just taking professional photos.
Yeah, before they had professional photos, Airbnb was like, womp.
Yep, a joke.
But then they did the professional photos, and now we all know what it is today.
Yeah, and they actually offer, so if you're doing it by yourself, you'll see when you upload your pictures, they'll say, this qualifies for professional photos, and Airbnb will actually send out a photographer to your location, and they'll just deduct it from your next reservation.
Interesting, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they'll send somebody right away, they'll upload the pictures, and then they'll just deduct it right from your next paycheck. Essentially.
And the other thing we were talking about in terms of whether or not a landlord will have the right mindset for a short-term rental is just the lumpiness that comes with short-term rental in terms of the income.
Yeah.
With a long-term rental, it's pretty predictable. Aside from the occasional big maintenance bill, you pretty much know what to expect month in, month out. But tell me more about kind of what to expect with a short-term rental.
Yeah, so emotionally, you got to be ready to ride the ups and downs because there's going to be some, especially if you're, depending on your market. Like here in Charlotte, we underwrite and expect about 3 months, 3 to 3.5 months of down, real down months where you might be doing as well as your long term, maybe a little bit less. But then April, May, June, July comes around, those big summer months when everyone's traveling, and you could have double, you can see double the income that you normally would. So if you can't ride the wave or you don't want to, there's some people that are like, yeah, I know I can make more money, but I'd rather just know. If you're one of those people, then I don't know if Airbnb is the right option for you.
Right.
But if you're willing to kind of hold the risk, that's kind of what it comes down to. Is if you're willing to, what's your risk tolerance and appetite, and if you're okay with a little risk and a little up and down, then yeah, it's a great option.
Let's wrap up this video by giving some tips to some of the DIY short-term landlords out there.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot of experience. This is all that you do. Because I know you have a lot of great information that you can share that would help people with their properties.
Yeah,
what do you recommend?
So number one, like I mentioned, professional photos.
Okay.
Spend the $150 to $250 and get professional photos. You can do, we do drone shots on all of ours, great interior real estate photos, almost like you're doing a real estate listing. That's what it's gonna be. You have to compete. So first and foremost, great photos. Really key furniture pieces and like highlights within the house are great. So say you have a nice, a couple chairs and a sitting area, make sure you're highlighting that. You wanna have enough seating like we talked about for however many people you wanna sleep. A couple extra tips. Throw some extra beds in there. So say you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Maybe you put, a king, 2 kings, and then 1 bedroom that has 2 twins. Then you have 4 beds, because then you're appealing to couples that are traveling, but then you also have, some individuals or the kids, and you can make them bunk beds. Just some extra bedding are great options. Having a pull-out couch, extra places for people to feel comfortable is kind of imperative.
Wonderful, great. Well, thanks so much for showing us this home and spending this time with us today in this video.
Of course.
Again, this is Matthew Tringali interviewing Jake here from Air Hospitality. If you have any questions about long-term versus short-term rentals, please reach out to us anytime at Smart Shield Property Management, the intelligent investor's choice.